everyone, this is Asavri here. I welcome you all to this webinar presented by investmentguruindia.com. Today I am in conversation with Mr. Prayesh Jain. He is lead research analyst, institutional research analyst in Yes Securities. So I welcome you, Prayesh.
Yeah, hi everyone. Good morning.
Good morning. Before we talk about life insurance sector, can you please throw some light over the sector in terms of industry size, key players, and over like how the sector has evolved over a period of time?
Size, if you look at the total premium collection by the industry, inclusive of private and LIC, private players and LICs, to the tune of 5.5 lakh crores. Out of that, the new business premium accounts for around 2.5 lakh crores, and the rest is renewal. And in the past 5 years, the industry has been growing at 8 to 10% CAGR. Now, if you look at the industry trends in the past few years, prior to 2016, the industry premium collection was dominated by the savings business, and the pure protection business, or what we call the term insurance, has only gained some limelight in the past few years when the private players started marketing in a big manner with with a premium rate significantly lower than LIC, and that is the when the trend picked up. And in the past few years, it has been the fastest growing segment for the industry, the pure term insurance. In terms of players, I think LIC still dominates with a closer to 65% market share in terms of new business premium, and closer to 50% in terms of annualized premium equivalent. And amongst private players, HDFC Life, SBI Life, iPru Life, Max Life, Bajaj Allianz, Kotak Life, and Aditya Birla Life are the most notable players in the private segment. With the top three names, the first three names, HDFC, SBI, and iPru being the most dominant ones.
In these unprecedented times, like healthcare and insurance in general are on everyone's mind. However, what are the key factors that made you upgrade your stance over this life insurance sector in India?
Definitely one of the factors that has driven us to upgrade our view on the sector uh, has been the COVID thing. COVID has created a environment for people buying more of insurance. And if you look at anywhere in the world in the past few pandemics, like for example, when the SARS happened in China in CY01 and around CY02, post had the insurance demand in China just spurted through the roof. Also, similar thing happened in Saudi Arabia when MERS impacted them in CY12. In CY13 and CY14, the insurance demand had gone up substantially in Saudi Arabia. And similar trends have been seen in other countries as well when the pandemic happens. So that is definitely one of the top reasons why we have upgraded our view on the sector. Apart from that, before when the pandemic hit, there was a fear of persistency for the sector, which is basically whether the renewals will continue. And the scenario is such that in the last couple of months, things have been better than expectations. And thirdly, the interest rates have been lower. Basically, the way we value life insurance companies based on the discounted value of new business approach. And in that sense, with lower interest rates, the discounting rate has gone down, which has led to the increase in value. And lastly, we believe that the longer term growth potential of the industry is very strong, with pure term growing at a fast pace in the near term, and savings likely to pick up after the impact of pandemic is over.
So, can you explain like how is life insurance sector placed in India compared to its peers in some other developed economies or emerging markets? Like, what are the opportunities available for the sector currently?
A few key parameters I would like to highlight out here. One is a protection gap, which is basically how much the individuals should be insured and how much actually they are insured. And the gap between that is called as protection gap. And for India, it is at 92%, and for a developed country like Singapore, it's at 56%. So you can see the huge gap that is there. If you look at another matrix, which is sum assured as a percentage of GDP, we are at 75%, while Singapore is at 273%, USA is at 270%, Japan is at 252%. So there again, there lies a big gap in terms of whether in terms of penetration. And lastly, if you look at premium as a percentage of GDP collection, in that sense, again, while optically 2.7% for India would not look abysmally low as compared to other countries, but we will also have to consider that in developed world, the individuals have a lot of coverage from the government, a lot of health insurance from the government. So combining that, I think the global developed countries have a significantly higher penetration, and India ranks significantly lower. So I think the opportunity is huge in terms of both protection as well as savings, and the industry can sustain a long-term CAGR of around 12 to 15% for in terms of premium collection.
Okay, and any specific opportunities for the sector currently?
In terms of opportunities, I think one of the ways to think about is the online thing, and I think we are still at a nascent stage in terms of distribution. All the companies are currently dominated by private players, are dominated by their bank assurance partners, while LIC is dominated by their agency channel. The online channel is still at very nascent stage, and I think this pandemic has given the opportunity for insurance players to scale up their online presence, and that would be a very big opportunity going ahead. Secondly, I think there are a lot of new products that can come into the market. I think the IRDA is also considering giving the private insurers an opportunity to get into the health insurance segment again, which they are not present right now. So yeah, there are these kind of opportunities which can really drive them longer term growth.
What are some of the stocks that you like in life insurance space, and what's your take on each one of them?
Our topic has been ICICI Prudential Life Insurance, and I think one of the key reasons for ICICI Pru Life being the topic is the fact that it has been the fastest growing player in terms of retail protection, and I think there's a huge opportunity for them to grow. Their bank assurance partner has also been growing has been focusing on protection plan, and our protection plans are the highest profit making plans for any life insurance company. So in that sense, I think the profitability of iPru Life will grow at the fastest pace, which is measured in terms of VNB margins. Secondly, I think they have a huge valuation discount when you compare it with HDFC Life. HDFC Life is trading somewhere close to 3.6 times price to embedded value, while iPru Life is trading at 1.9 times price to embedded value. And the valuation discount is very huge. I think that should narrow down. And in fact, it is quite close. The valuation is quite closer to regional peers, which have a significantly high balance sheet risk as compared to iPru. So in that sense, I think iPru Life has still a lot of room for valuation re-rating. Third point, iPru Life has a dominant market share in the ULIP business, and with markets coming back, the markets have recovered, and if the economy comes back to at least 75-80% utilization levels by the end of this year, I think ULIPs will make a comeback, and there again iPru will have an advantage. We also like SBI Life, and that again is a play on their growing the potential to grow their bank assurance channel. Actually, they still not have exhausted their resources there in a most optimal manner. I think they have a good headroom out there. They have been growing their protection business as well, and in online presence they have very limited exposure yet. So any moves there, I think they can see a good growth going ahead. And even in terms of valuation, it also trades at a discount to HDFC Life. So that again leaves a scope for some improvement. And coming to the last stock, HDFC Life, I think it is the best franchise in terms of distribution mix, in terms of product mix, in terms of profitability. However, all these positives seems to have adequately been factored in the premium valuations that they get. They deserve premium valuations, but I think there is limited room for further re-rating of the valuations. So they are trading at 3.6 times FY22 price to embedded value. We expect the fair valuations to be close to 4 times. So that leaves an upside of 10% for the stock.
So as you mentioned before, for all the life insurance companies, this digital sales is growing faster and will help them reach out larger part of the audience. But still, the large part of online sales is in a vanilla term plan. So how do you think this online sales product will grow over a time?
Online has been at a nascent stage, but as I mentioned, this pandemic has given an opportunity for everyone, whether you talk about policy aggregators or whether you talk about the online channels of these insurance companies. I think all of these segments have scaled up materially their potential to go online. If from a product perspective, what we are hearing is that it's not just pure term plans that are being sold online. There have also been demand for products like annuities and pension products online, which basically is another important change in trajectory. Now annuities and pension products are the demand comes from people who are aged above 50 years, and which basically means that this segment of the population, which possibly is not that tech savvy, is also going online now. And with the kind of geonization of the country that we've seen, the internet availability is there everywhere. So I think there's a huge scope and potential for growth. Customers are coming more online, and also the insurers as well as the regulator has improved its focus on this channel. They have tried to simplify the products as much as possible for the customers, but they have to keep some complexity or some features separate in order to distinguish amongst players each other. So I think the online potential is just huge, and it is just the beginning.
Okay. So my next question to you is, the finance minister in the budget of financial year 21 announced a new tax slabs for individuals. Do you think this could affect the growth story of the sector?
We don't see this impacting materially, especially the salaried class people. I don't think they would be shifting to the new tax regime. That's primarily because the kind of tax incentives, tax deductions they have, I think their effective tax rate will be better off in the previous regime. While there could be some shift from the business community, but nevertheless, I think they will take their own conscious call over the next few years. But see, again, as I said, till the time there was a push from the industry that okay, go for tax savings. This is a tax saving instrument. But the recent surveys have indicated that the insurance demand from tax saving purposes is significantly lower. That ranks amongst one of the lowest reasons, one of the smallest reasons for people to buy insurance. That mindset is changing. So we don't see a material impact. There could be some marginal impact for certain segments, but not a very long drawn one. I think that would just create a base in FY21 itself, and things will only get better from FY22.
A lot of life insurance policies may get lapsed due to a disruption by COVID-19. So how do you think this could affect the sector?
Taxation is definitely one of the concerns, and but one of the key strengths of the Indian insurance industry is IRDAI, which is the regulator, and it has created such rules and regulations that the once a policy is lapsed, it can be revived over the next 3 to 4 years. There are different rules for different segments. So I think with economy coming back, while you might see an impact in the near term in terms of profitability because of lower persistency, and that could be mainly hit in the ULIP segment, but my sense is that this could be a short-term blip, and with the economy coming back, these customers who have their policy lapsed would make a comeback. And obviously it has to be driven by both the regulator as well as insurance companies, that they make these customers aware that lapsation is not good for them. Secondly, there are multiple options available with customers, such as taking a loan on the policy, making it paid up for that example, for that matter. Uh, and the last option is lapsation or surrender. Even for surrender, I think the IRDA has set rules of minimum surrender values, which again helps the customer to get better value out of their products, out of their premiums. So in that sense, I think the industry is creating a lot of awareness that the policy should not be lapsed. So the way we had seen in the previous slowdown when there were huge lapsation, we don't see that kind of impact in this scenario. The way the regulator has been functioning. So I think there would be impact in the near term, but I think it would make a faster comeback as compared to the previous cycle.
Summarize everything, can you list the three important opportunities that the sector has, and what are the three challenges that the sector might face in future?
As I mentioned before, in terms of opportunity, I think that the three large opportunities is the deep underpenetration that India has in terms of insurance. Life insurance is highly underpenetrated, and especially in tier 2, tier 3 towns where these private players have not ventured yet. And I think there's a huge scope of growth in the lower income category as well. So far, it's just been the affluent category where the private players have attacked. I think there is a lot of scope in the middle income level as well. So if we break in terms of cohorts, I think the lower tier towns as well as the lower and middle income group, there is a huge potential there. Secondly, as I mentioned, the online scope for growth is humongous. As per my interactions with the industry prior to pandemic, the overall industry sales online, which is pure online sales, in the sense the meeting, the discussion, the paper submissions, the policy issuance, all things happened in an online manner. That share of the business was just at 1%, and I think there's a huge scope for growth. And we've seen in the last couple of months that these businesses, all these private players, have scaled up their online presence. So I think there's a huge scope for growth. And thirdly, the new products. I think there's the health insurance, and there are many more products which can be brought in by brought in by private players. And the sandbox regulations that the IRDA has approved in the recent past, I think that paves the way for new product launches over the medium term, which can provide new avenues for growth. And so that's the opportunity size is huge. And with regards to challenges, I think the biggest challenge in the near term or in the shorter term is the COVID slowdown. If we have a second wave, I think there could be a big impact on the overall economy. And I think there's a strong correlation between economic growth or the GDP growth and the premium collection for the life insurance industry. And if the economy slows down, I think there could be a big impact on the premium collection. And secondly, the other concern which I have is if the private players start getting into a price war for the term insurance business, and that could impact profitability of the segment. And while the companies have raised their prices in the recent past, and they have been well absorbed, but smaller players, if they get into a price war, I think that could be detrimental to the profitability of the industry. And thirdly, regulations. But while it can be, the IRDA has been stricter in terms of implementation of rules, and those rules have been more favoring customers rather than the insurers. But that could pose a certain risk. However, that is over the longer term, it is good for the industry, the kind of regulations IRDA has set. And that is the exact reason, that is one of the prime reasons why the industry gets a premium valuation in India as compared to anywhere else in the world, because we are better regulated, and the companies have a much stronger balance sheet as compared to any other players in other countries.
Okay. So, sir, my last question to you is for our retail investors. Like, what are the few things that they should keep in mind while investing into this insurance companies?
Yeah. So, from a retail investor perspective, I think a few important points to be looked at would be, first is how is the premium growing, and what is the premium growth rate in terms of APE. Secondly, the profitability measure is from a VNB margin perspective. So these numbers are declared by the company in the presentations which they give out every quarter. So look at how the trend is moving for VNB margins. The better the growth rate, the better the improvement in margins. It is better in terms of the quality of the company. Thirdly, in terms of valuations, price to EV is the best metrics to look at from a retail investor perspective. But obviously, it's not as comparable, say, as to price to book value or something. With companies with different qualities have deserve different kind of valuations, and something like HDFC Life deserves a premium. So those are the key things that I would look for uh, from a retail investor perspective.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. That was actually very helpful to understand the insurance sector. So, with this, we end our webinar. So, thank you so much, sir, for joining in and sharing your perspective over this insurance sector. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure discussing the sector with you all.
Thank you. This was informative session with Mr. Prayesh Jain from Yes Securities. We have a detailed research report on insurance sector by Yes Securities available in our description link. If you find this video informative and if you like this video, don't forget to share and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.